So Haxorus is the pseudo legendary of Generation 5, and unlike the other ones, he's pretty much just full attack. He's most of his stats went into attack and some into speed. It's pretty much how they built him. 147 attack is really high. 97 speed is decent. He doesn't get agility or anything like that, but it's still good enough. 76 health with 90 defense. It's pretty good. He can survive some physical hits. 70 special defense isn't great, but it's not terrible. And 60 defense or 60 special attack is not good. Pretty much, there's no reason to use Haxorus as a special attacker when you have over 80 points. You have over double your special attack and attack. There's no point. But his abilities are Rivalry, Mold Breaker, and Unnerve. His best ability by far, I would say, is Mold Breaker, because Unnerve on him, it's not really going to be that useful. Unnerve is a good ability if you don't have great abilities, but these two are really good. Rivalry is high risk, high reward. If you go against an opponent of a different gender, or the same gender, you do 1.5 damage. So with 147 attack, that's going to do a lot of damage. But if it's an opposite gender, you do less health. And Mold Breaker makes it so you ignore their abilities. Like Earthquake will avoid Levitate. Thunderbolt will avoid Volt Absorb and stuff like that. I think the only one that really matters to him is Mimikyu and Earthquake. Or Levitate. Mimikyu, Disguise, and Earthquake. I think for the most part the only ones that matter to him. But he's pure dragon, so he's weak to Ice Dragon and Fairy, but he's resistant. He has a resistance to Fire, Water, Grass, and Electric, which is pretty good. It's not like amazing like Steel, but it's not bad. But the main way Haxorus is normally run is Dragon Dance and then 3 offensive moves. Dragon Claw, you can run Outrage in the spot, but you risk getting locked into a move. It's actually really good as a cleanup if you know, especially with Outrage, if you know, oh, they only have 3 Pokemon left. Come in, Dragon Dance, take a hit, and then just go to work. Especially if you're faster than everything, he does a lot of damage. But again, I would say Mold Breaker all the time, unless you're gonna use them very situationally with Rivalry, and you're gonna plan to do the same gender thing. I would not run Rivalry because the 0.75 will really hurt your damage. But also, if you're facing a Haxorus, you'll know what ability it has every time, because Unnerve activates at the beginning of the turn. Mold Breaker activates at the beginning of the turn. I don't think Rivalry does, but if no ability activates for Haxorus, then you know that it's Rivalry at that point. So, pretty much Dragon Dance and then whatever super effective. You can replace. I wouldn't replace anything just because it's high damage moves, close combat. I run Sash. You don't have to run Sash. You can replace the Sash, but you don't want to get blown up by a really strong Fairy move or something like that, or just get outsped. You can replace it. I would replace it with. It's tough because Life Orb will whittle you down. You can replace it with a Berry if you want, depending on how much health he takes. If you want to run like a Lychee Berry or something, I would run the Speed Berry, which is. I forgot what the Speed Berry is called. But I would run the Speed Berry. If anything, if you want to run a Berry, you gotta be careful with the Life Orb. Yeah, I wouldn't run Life Orb because you're gonna get hit. Or you could run, actually, if you want to take that risk, run a weak. Well, I'll get to that later. But I would run pretty much this. So this is another Haxorus. First impression: Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Poison Jab. If you just want to run full attacks, again, you can place Dragon Claw. Or, okay, in any of these sets, the Dragon move could be, for the most part, Outrage or Scale Shot. Scale Shot's a very interesting move, because unless you're Dynamaxing, Scale Shot's an option, but hits 2 to 5 times and lowers defense but raises speed after the last hit. So if it hits 3 times, you'll do slightly less damage, but you'll get a speed boost, but you'll lower your defense. So it's just depends on what you want. That's actually really good on a Dragon Dance set, because you're getting the +1. Once you get a Dragon Dance plus the +1 from Scale Shot, you outspeed everything pretty much. And so it's one of those things. You outspeed everything that isn't Scarfed or like Ninja-esque levels of speed. So, but first impression: Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Poison Jab. I like Poison Jab for the Fairy, Dragon Claw for the coverage. First impressions are really good. Like, I'm gonna switch him and do a massive hit. and then Earthquake. Just as Earthquake's a really good move. I wouldn't run Close Combat because you're slow. I didn't put any speed investment. You can run max speed, Speedy Nature, but I just like bulky Haxorus in this set. But first impression, you come in, just get a hit off, they hit you, and then you KO with the next shot, and then you can switch out. Or like you should hit them, they hit you, Berry procs, and then you KO them that turn, and then switch out. Or you can stay in. He learns other moves like Crunch and stuff like that. Crunch, Psycho Cut, Night Slash, Night Slash, Rock Slide, Shadow Claw, X Scissor. I would just be careful because fairies would give you a big problem, especially if they switch in a fairy. But in with the Poison Jab, you one-shot Mimikyu too. I'm pretty sure you one-shot Mimikyu because Mode Breaker goes through disguise. So Mimikyu might set up a Swords Dance or something. And because I didn't even know that, I got one-shot by a Hawlucha. I think he used Poison Jab. I got one-shot, and I didn't realize Mode Breaker goes through disguise. So if someone doesn't know, it really can mess up a Mimikyu. But another Haxorus is Endure Dragon Dance with Lychee Berry and Dragon Claw Reversal. The plan is you can replace Lychee Berry with the Speed Berry if you want, which is, let's see, you can replace it. Pretty much the plan with this is you come in, you Dragon Dance, you take a hit, and then you Endure, take another hit, activate the Berry, and then you just go and sweep from there with Reversal. You can replace Dragon Claw, I would say, in this set with, Salac Berry. That's what I'm saying. I would run Salac Berry. But just so you get the guaranteed speed, I would run Adamant Salac Berry. That way you get the Dragon Dance, you're getting a +2. Reversal has 250 base power. You can replace Dragon Claw with Outrage. I wouldn't really run Scale Shot. Oh, well, you can run Scale Shot for sashes and stuff, but other than that, I wouldn't really run it. But you could also replace Dragon Claw with something like Poison Jab, just so you can hit fairies, because if they switch in a fairy on a set like this, you're in trouble. If they switch in a Ghost and, I don't know, Ghost and Steel, you're in trouble. So I would be careful with that other move. I would run Poison Jab. If you don't want to run into, unless you're bringing him in and you know they don't have a fairy type, and then I would run Outrage. Like, that would probably be better. Just you bring them in to just finish them off, or to just clean up if you know at the end of the battle they don't have anything. But I would run Adamant and like this, and Haxorus would just come in and sweep, or just clean up. But this was a Dynamax Haxorus. Close combat, raise your attack. Outrage is high damage. Earthquake's really good coverage and high power. Same with Iron Tail for the fairies. You could drop one of these moves and run Aerial Ace for the speed boost. Bring them in, Dynamax, KO something, Aerial Ace. This one you could run Secret or Citrus Berry or Weakness Policy, which is really good. And if you run Weakness Policy, I would drop probably Earthquake or Close Combat for Aerial Ace. Bring them in on something that's weak to flying or that's about to get KO'd, and Aerial Ace. Come in, you'll take the hit, get the Weakness Policy, and then you'll just sweep from there. Because his attack will be so high at that point. It's pretty much a free Swords Dance. Plus you'll have a +1 from the Aerial Ace. You could also run Dragon Dance if you want, but you'd have to run Dragon Dance, Aerial Ace, Outrage, Iron Tail, which is it's not as great coverage wise. You only have Outrage and Iron Tail really, and Aerial Ace is just there sometimes. But that's one way to Dynamax. You could also Life Orb too. I would run the Speedy Nature if you can Outrage. If you don't run Aerial Ace, you can either run Speedy Nature if you want to be a sweeper, or just have him be like a tank buster, or bring him in when you know. Again, bring him in if he's the fastest thing. But you could also just run max health, max attack, and just take a hit, KO something, take a hit, KO. Especially with like this, if you get with a super effective hit, you have a ton of health because you're Dynamax. You take the super effective hit, especially if they're not, then you one-shot them. They bring in something else, you take a hit, you one-shot them. So you'll go 2 for 1, but it's really good. Some of the other ones he learns Aqua Tail. You can run these moves pretty much whatever you want as one of the offensive moves, as long as it's not like as just one of your attacking moves. You can pretty much replace any of the moves that are in the sets with these moves. But like in this one, you could replace First Impression with one of these moves. But he learned Aqua Tail, which is really good. 90-90. It's not bad. Just has a slight chance to miss. Crunch is really good. Good coverage against Ghost and Psychic. Rock Slide and doubles. Haxorus is, you can run Haxorus or Rangaroo and just ban Haxorus or Life Orb Haxorus and just instruct. Rock Slide, good double hitting move, good coverage against flying and ice. It's good coverage against ice, but just, you're not gonna be against many ice types. Scale Shot, like I said, if you can get 3 hits, it's worth it as long as you're not faster before you do the move, because you can risk getting 1 shot, especially if you don't have a sash or anything. But some of the other moves he learns are Night Slash, Poison Jab, Psycho Cut, Shadow Claw. All good coverage moves. Like, Haxorus has a good amount of coverage with a high attack, so it's just what you need on your team. X Scissor. I wouldn't run Superpower, especially if you have close combat. It's not worth it. I wouldn't really run Breaking Swipe or Brutal Strike or Swing. I wouldn't really even Bulldoze or better Bulldoze Pokemon. Dual Chop is also an option instead of Dragon Claw. Dual Chop is pretty much a Dragon Claw that hits twice, so it can go through sashes and stuff like that, but it has 90% accuracy. So if you run Dual Chop, the advantage of Dual Chop over Dragon Claw is the fact that Dual Chop it'll hit them twice, so it'll break sash and stuff, but it has a chance to miss, so it's up to you if you want to take that risk. Guillotine has just a 1-shot option. Also, Haxorus is probably the best False Swipe Pokemon in the game, only because his attack's so high. So if you want to just try to catch a bunch of Pokemon, Haxorus, Adamant, False Swipe, he'll do a ton. But I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's how to use Haxorus in Pokemon Sword and Shield.